Welcome to today's conference where we're going to be talking about defining the culture. I am your host. My name is Jamie McKenzie. I am your host. I'm right here in Toronto, Canada, and I'm grateful to be a part of the experience today and being able to help assist you in terms of defining your culture for your music ministry, your media ministry, and just general ministry at large. And we're going to be talking about a few different key concepts today. And the main issue and the main thing that I want to discuss is about how to define your culture. And the reason why this is important is because it starts with you. As a leader in media ministry or any auxiliary ministry, the culture is surrounded about who you lead and what you create and what you cultivate. With all that said, as I mentioned before, my name is Jamie McKenzie. I am right here in Toronto, Canada. I am the founder of Church X Consulting. My simple goal is to help churches reach their potential for the future and beyond. I've been in ministry for over 20 years and I've served in capacities in media and music. I currently serve at my home local church at FOWC, Faith Worship Center, here in Toronto. And it's just an honor, and I want to give thanks to AJ for putting on this amazing conference and being able to equip a lot of ministries in being able to launch forward into the future and make e-missionaries, which is the core foundation of what we're here to do today. Now, I've summed up defining the culture into three main categories and ideas. The goal for today is essentially we want to identify what culture is from a ministry perspective. Number two, we want to understand how the online world and the offline culture, how those react and interact with each other. And finally, giving you some tips and strategies on how to create an amazing online culture and an offline culture. Now, there's going to be a lot more time, and we're going to have a lot of time at the end for question and answer. So if you guys have questions, please feel free to write it in the chat. I will be with you throughout the whole entire presentation. So, just in the US, according to the National Congregational Studies Survey, there's over 380,000 churches in the US. In Canada, that's a little bit over close to a little bit over 100,000, and in parts of Europe and beyond, the numbers are a lot less. The question that you're probably asking is, what relevance does this have in terms of defining the culture? With as many churches out there, there's a church for every single person. There's a church for every single denomination. There's a church for every different type of people. Depending on what your preference is and what you like to do, church has become the norm. And now, because of what's happened in this world that we're living in, the definition of church has now changed. It's now more reactive instead of interactive. We've now had to acclimate ourselves and change the way we do church and the way we do ministry because of what's going on in the world. And it's become evident that online has been a very prevalent part of this shift that's happening. Now, when it comes to defining this culture that we acclimate in church, the simplest and easiest way to break down culture is to say, how do we do things here to be successful? As a leader, as I mentioned in the opening slide, it starts with you. And if you want to be successful and you want to be able to create a ministry team or a media team that is to be successful in what they do, Because again, not everybody's a paid member of the church. Most of the members or most of the team is volunteers. So you have to create that culture that where people want to be a part of something great. They want to be invested in something that's going to take them to the future or provide them skills that are going to help them in the long run. Now, it's not necessarily the vision and the strategy that are always the most important. However, it's the culture that holds everything together. It holds these other elements together. Because if you create a place where people want to be engaged, want to be fed into, want to be able to be a part of something that's going to launch them into the future, culture is the glue that holds everything together. Now, with that said, it's kind of a melting pot. It's a melting pot of the spoken and unspoken messages that speaks to the atmosphere of the church. Especially now online, you can create a culture that is an online culture. And that where people are going to be ambassadors, not only for the church at large and being able to spread the gospel, but as well as just being a part of something great. And that's the core of where we're going today. Now, every ministry has a culture. We have to be able to take each area to the finish line to be successful. Culture can always be improved, changed, and innovated. And it does require some painful and challenging decisions. Now, I understand that there are some pastors and there's some leaders and there's some ministry auxiliaries and people that are here that are really trying to get close to where we're going. However, where we're leading to and where ministry is going, we have to be mindful that all ministry requires these hard decisions that are not easy. You're going to have to fire people. You're going to have to make some personnel changes. You're going to have to invest time and invest energy into training the right people when it comes to media, because you only get one shot to be effective online. You only get one chance to make that great impression. However, with all these shifts and all these changes, we're realizing that ministry has now become a melting pot where it's you have to manage people, you have to manage expectations. Some people might have unrealistic expectations of what the culture is when they step into the church and how they are going to be a part of the family, be a part of where we're going. And that's where we need to look to the future. Now, as a leader, what is your priority when it comes to culture? As I mentioned before, vision and strategy are important, but culture is the glue that holds everything together. Here are some key priorities that we have to look at as a leader when it comes to culture. Number one, find out the areas that are not working and act to change that. Find out what works well, what doesn't work well. For example, you could be streaming on YouTube and somebody watching your church service, first time visitor, they're coming from a different country and they write a comment and they're looking for somebody to pray with and nobody's online telling them how to take that next step. That might be an area that might not be working. And how are you going to fix that? Well, you might have a moderator in the chat to guide them and to say, hey, here's the information if you'd like to take a next step. If you want to go and give your life to Christ, or you want to become a part of a cell group or a virtual cell group, or you want to become a part of a team. And this applies whether you're in person or virtual. The second thing is your church will only be as healthy as you are. If you are not healthy in the media ministry, for example, that will show online. If you function in chaos and dysfunction, people will see that online. As much as we want to create a polished, I don't like to use the word performance, but we want to create a nice experience for people that are viewing online. It's only going to be as healthy as you are. And if your area of ministry that you function is not as healthy, then it's going to come across and it may leak over into other areas. And that is something where you have to look introspectively as a leader when it comes to this, because people gravitate to you as a leader and you create the culture that's around you. You create the experiences that make people want to come back or find somewhere else to watch. And that is always the challenge here. With as many churches that are online now, and many churches that are looking towards the future, the culture of what you create online is now become more important than ever before, because first impressions of what people experience online, they're going to watch your church online before they even come to your building. Before they come to your building, they're gonna want to be able to experience something that's going to be vital and important to them. Now, the mirror is always on you, whether in person or virtually. The attention will always be on you. If something didn't go right, for example, the internet cut, or the camera was panned to somebody eating food, and you don't want that culture to be represented online, we have to remind ourselves that the mirror is always on yourself. And people will see that and gravitate towards that important. I know. This is the question that every ministry, every church, every outreach program, every media, every musician, every pastor, every leader has this question in mind. Why is it that we are not where we know we should be as a ministry? I want you guys to type in the chat, for those that are watching, why do you think that you are not where you should be as a ministry, whether personally or just collectively? I just want to hear, what are some reasons why that is the case? So I'll give you a few moments to come up with a few answers and let me know in chat. And I just want to hear, what are some of the reasons why that is the case? I'll just give you a few more moments. I'm seeing some ideas and some comments in the chat. So I'll give you just about a minute or so just to write a quick thing. Why is it that we are not where we know we should be as a ministry or as a church? All right. So I'm reading your responses. Somebody said the vision isn't there or wasn't there to get us where we could be or should be. Somebody said vision is not clear to the congregation. People don't commit to the vision. No unity. Those are all very well respected answers. The 80-20 rule. People don't get involved. That's another reason. Now, if we look at it, let's apply this to, because this is a media conference, but this can be applicable to all areas of ministry, whether you serve in outreach, whether you serve in guest services, whether you serve in media. Vision is very important, but your culture defines everything. If people love where they like to work, for example, they're going to come back and they're going to be involved. We want to be able to take next steps as a ministry if we're going to go to the future. That is the critical portion here. We want to be able to go to the future as a ministry and be able to affect change and bring the gospel to all people. And it's because of the fact that there are many reasons, and a lot of these reasons are valid, and they are valid when it comes to ministry. And a lot of pastors and a lot of leaders that are on this call have many questions. And this question centers around every area of ministry. Why is it we are not where we know we should be? If we're not live streaming, why is it we're not live streaming? Is it because everybody else is live streaming and we don't have a strategy to get there? Or is it because we don't know what we're going to create so that we can be effective, so we can reach the set of people that has been called and designed for us to meet? That is crucial. Culture. It's a shift. It's a transition. It's a battle. It's a fight. There are many components when it comes to unhealthy church culture. And I'm just reading the comments, and somebody said here that I just want to take a moment here. Somebody said a lot of people love coming and think we are doing a good job, that they don't need our help. And that's a very fair comment. But everybody is vital. It doesn't matter what role you play, the culture determines where people are going to go. If I love what I'm going to do, I'm going to find a place. Because there are many members in the body. As the Bible says, there are many members, and you can't function without a head. You can't function without a toe. You can't function without an arm. But everybody has a place in ministry. But with that said, there are times where culture has just been unhealthy. And many ministries and many people battle this idea that, we're great. We do all these excellent things. We're great. We have the best culture around. But sometimes it might not always be the case. And there are a few components of an unhealthy culture. Number one, this is in no particular order these are, but this is very important. Number one is communication. Communication, and we're going to come back to that, because this is going to be the crux of creating culture, of creating and defining your culture for your ministry. We're going to come back to that. Number two, slow decision making, which leads to delay. Have you ever been in a situation where you're trying to build your live stream, for example, and you go to your church office, your finance committee, or you go to, the decision maker, and you're trying to get the components that you need to effectively live stream or upgrade, and for some reason it's taking a long time to make that process when you know you need it now, or when the leader is taking their time to make a decision and now you feel tense because it's now affecting the atmosphere of the team. These decisions can be made even online as well, where people are taking time to, make their next step with Christ. And you're trying to create that sense of community, togetherness online. And that slow decision process leads to delay. Let's go to number 3. Turf wars. At times, leaders, visionaries, creatives, they're all going to butt heads. They're all going to come face to face with each other, and there's going to be a constant battle. Who's doing a better job? I'm doing a better job. No, you're doing a better job. Who's doing a better job? And what happens is that tenseness has always led to some sort of problem with turf wars. I can do this better than this person. This person's live stream is better than this. And why can't we do this? But if we are going to tackle dealing with unhealthy culture, we have to address the fact that these are things that we have to be aware of when it comes to doing ministry online and ministry in person. We're now moving into what we call hybrid worship, and turf wars is going to be a thing. Number 4, no freedom. Freedom online is great, but there's a sense of accountability. No freedom when you're in person is different. Having no freedom to be able to create the vision of what your ministry is tasked with is going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. And people sense that. If they cannot have the freedom to go where they need to go and be able to create the tools and create the processes and procedures to be successful, it's going to be very hard to transition into the future. Number 5, fear. A lot of times we're afraid to say what we need to say, not in a confrontational manner, but because of the fact that we're just naturally afraid. We're afraid of what people will think, whether we say a comment online, whether we're moderating online, whether we're, writing the next steps for somebody to go and pursue their relationship with Christ, or being able to, write that budget down to send to the finance committee, or to send to your leader that's in charge of your live streaming. And we're afraid to make those choices because we're not sure how is this going to affect everyone to be successful. I'm not sure if anybody has ever felt that, but that has become a real thing. Especially now, online, we're afraid to say what we need to say because of culture. And fear shouldn't stop us from evangelizing and from telling people the great news of Christ. That is the critical portion. Number 6, lack of development. In order for you as a leader to develop, one of the components of unhealthy culture is lack of development. And that has become a very, very interesting part of this. Lack of development, being able to develop your skills and being able to develop what you need to be able to do to be successful. Number 7, lack of trust. If people know, like, and trust you, culture will be great. If people cannot trust you with the small things, then they can't trust you with the big things. Having an unhealthy culture and having lack of trust is going to be an issue. Because you will not know how to proceed forward and being able to identify and know that people need to be able to be trusted, whether they're managing online or whether they are managing in person. If I can trust you to manage my comments online and lead somebody to call the number to get prayer, or to be able to lead them to go take a next step, or join a small group, or join this, or being able to be a part of that, it's going to be a great thing. Number 8, attitude. We don't talk about attitude very much so. I deal with a lot of churches and a lot of clients, and I understand that attitude is a big thing. When it comes to dealing online, your culture that you create online has got to be important. The way you address and the attitude that you have, the posture you have. The reason why some churches can be successful online is because of the attitude that they have. They do it with the attitude of excellence. They do it because they want to be successful at creating an experience that people can know, like, and trust. Now, I hear what you're saying. I hear exactly what you're saying. How do we address all these components of an unhealthy culture and bring this into the future? Well, the one thing that we didn't touch on was communication. If you can communicate effectively, number 2 would be erase. Slow decision making. Because you communicate the right information to create the right atmosphere so people can feel welcome. People can feel like I'm a part of something great that leads me into the future. You can communicate and fear would be gone. You can communicate and let me know that there's an opportunity for development. There's an opportunity for me to trust you. There's an opportunity that your attitude will help improve your communication. We have to remind ourselves that media is challenging, but communication will trump everything. If you can communicate effectively on, for example, how to give, why to give, what's going on, where are we using the information for live stream. We're streaming on Facebook and YouTube, and we're telling people here are the appropriate steps to go watch us. Or we're not waiting to 9:50 to start setting up for streaming, and service starts at 10 o'clock. All these things come back to communication. If we want to lead our churches and lead e-missionaries into the future, communication will lead the charge. Because as a leader, culture starts with you. And vision and strategy, as I mentioned before, are super important. However, communication is a part of the crux that helps centers culture and leads it into the future. As I mentioned before, in media ministry, it's important that you foster and create a culture that is healthy, positive. even though people cannot see behind the scenes, people have the ability to sniff the culture. I'll say that one more time. People have the ability to sniff culture. The reason why this statement is true is because have you ever been to some place and said to yourself or to your friends, something is not right. Something is off. Or I'll take this even a step further. Have you ever noticed when there are mistakes in the service because the camera's panning to somebody who's eating food, or they left their water bottle on the stage, or somebody put the wrong lower thirds up and it said something incorrect? Even though people don't see all that stuff, they see with their eyes. And they look beyond with their mind's eyes. And they can sense when things are wrong. They can sense when, you have those funny church bloopers. They can sense when something is not right. And people know. As much as we want to do excellence, and that's all well and good, and we're all about excellence here in the kingdom, because it is a kingdom mission, we have to remind ourselves that we are going to make mistakes. And as much as media ministry is important, we have to create a healthy culture that people can see online, because we're now living in the day and age where people, VIP guests, now look online before they even come to your church. The culture of your website. What does your website look like? What does your service look like? Can I get a glimpse before I even step in the building? Because I want to know if the culture online is great, I'm going to come to your church. If the culture online is fantastic and it shows that, it's very inviting, it's very open, it's very friendly, music is great, the message is great, there's a move of God in the place, and you know what? It's for me. It caters to me because it says something and speaks to me. But people sense that. And they'll say, hey, you know what? I've been to this new place and, I walked in, everything was on great online, but then when I walk in the building, it's completely different. That's culture. And people sense that. We want to make sure that the first impression that people sense is the culture of your ministry. Pastors and leaders, I understand it's a big burden, and I understand that there's a lot on everyone's plate, but we have to understand that culture is where the world is going, and unfortunately, we have to be prepared to understand that it's not for everybody. We may not win everybody, but we have to create a place that's healthy, positive, and inviting for people online and in person as we move towards this hybrid stage of worship. Understanding the online and offline world of culture. If your culture is healthy, it will be clearly defined. It is one of your greatest assets. As a ministry, you want to be able to make sure that that is defined. It's like one of your major selling points. People want to know that it's inviting. We read reviews on a restaurant and we know, hey, that place was so inviting. The food was great, but I felt at home. I felt there was a great sense of atmosphere. I felt that there was value. The same thing would apply to ministry. Your ministry becomes attractive to the community and more when it fully accomplishes its mission. We have to remind ourselves that the online and the offline world of culture is vital to this day and age. Culture is invisible. You can't see it, but it defines a lot. It defines the way people view a healthy environment or an unhealthy environment, especially in ministry. And for those that are in ministry, we understand, and I understand that it's very challenging. Now, let's segue a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about YouTube. The reason why I want to talk about YouTube and the culture of YouTube is because YouTube is the number two search engine in the world. Google owns YouTube. But not only that, it's also great because, you get to watch cat videos and things like that. But it's the number two platform that almost 70% of the people that are on, so that's 7 out of every 10 people, turn to YouTube to solve problems and gain a sense of community. I want to say that one more time. 70%, 7 out of 10 people turn to YouTube to get help to solve problems and gain a sense of community. When you are around like-minded people in the comments and in the chats, even though you cannot see them, but yet they're commenting and saying, great job. They're saying, this ministry really blessed my life. I felt involved. I felt like I was a part of something great. People want to connect with church. Let's not mistake that. People want to connect with church, and they want to connect with people that they know, like, and trust. They connect through engagement. They connect through comments. And you can build that relationship with people in the comments. You might have somebody that may not have ever been to church, and they live in Australia, for example, but they're there watching your service every week, and they're commenting. They're saying, you know what, I really enjoyed the worship today. I really enjoyed the fact that somebody responded to my request for prayer within 10 seconds. Somebody said, hey, I'm having trouble trying to contact the website, live on the service. And somebody responded and engaged with them very quickly. A lot of times we set things and we just say, hey, we're just going to stream it on YouTube, stream it on Facebook. We're not going to have anybody watch the comments. We're just going to stream it and people will see the replay later. We have to get out of that mindset because we have to create a culture online. We have to create a culture that's going to affect people and change their life. If 7 out of 10 people are going to watch YouTube, and the stats are completely different for Facebook, we have to understand that there's some sort of value if people are responding to the comments. They want to feel connected and feel a part of something great. According to Reach Insights, their focus group firm, after watching YouTube, 46% of people feel more prepared. 39% feel inspired. 36% feel motivated. 38% feel less stressed. 28% feel connected. And 27% feel empowered. Now, I understand. You're saying to me, Jamie, all these stats are well and good, but what does this have to do with media ministry? Quite a lot. And the reason being is because if 46% feel more prepared, imagine if you did your church service not with better cameras, but with an attitude of creating a better culture online. More people are going to feel prepared and feel more connected. They're going to feel motivated. They're going to feel inspired because I may not be able to come in the building right now, but I can feel like there's a sense of community. And the stats show that 28% feel connected after just watching YouTube. You feel a sense of, I can do anything. I feel I'm a part of something. I feel empowered. I feel motivated. I feel inspired. Like I can see my way into the future. And the future looks a lot better because I'm in it. Understand that we have to move towards creating an online culture for people. And people will feel valued, people will feel connected, and people will feel great. Here's a question that everybody wants to know. How do I create it online? Here are 3 tips to help you create a better online world of culture and importance. Number 1, your moderators, your leadership create the culture. And you are key to fueling and creating the conversation to the community. That means if you're online, and let's say for your example, you're on YouTube, and somebody writes, I want to get prayer. Or let's say you're creating an online altar, and somebody says, I need prayer. The first thing you should be doing is read the comment, verify the comment, and then let them know, hey, here's how to connect with somebody. If you need somebody to talk to, here's the number to call. If you win one person online, that means you've created a culture that somebody's going to come back to. Every conversation, every comment is an opportunity to create community. But yet, we've come to the idea of, hey, we're just going to stream online. We're just going to do a set it and forget it model. And, for those people that are listening, even on Zoom or Facebook, we're just going to do a set it and forget it model. We'll just stream online. We'll read the comments eventually. But we want to create that mindset where we have to get out of that. Number 2, eliminate negative comments to control the conversation. There's going to be times where people are spamming, writing unnecessary things in your live stream. Have somebody monitor that because it will happen. Number 3, engagement and connectivity can foster the culture online. The more you are engaged and the more you are connected to the people that are watching, whether they're watching across the world, whether they're watching in their bedroom, their PJs, whatever the case may be, as long as you can create that engagement, they'll create their altar at home. They'll create an altar at home to connect with God. But your job is to make sure that a culture is created so people can feel connected. Because it's going to be a while before people are going to be returning back to church in droves. You will have 2 people. You will either have the connectors or you will either have the gatherers. And if we're focusing, let's take this offline for a brief moment. The connectors are those that are coming once in a while, special events, special occasions. And then the gatherers are those that are diehard church people that will always be there. However, you're going to come to a point where the gatherers and connectors might not be seeing eye to eye with each other. And we have to create that connectivity to foster that culture. And the same thing applies even online as well. How does the online and offline world interact with the culture? Community is built when everyone is on the same page. If we're all working in community, which is communication and unity, community, that will work. We have to identify any toxic behaviors, so selfishness, conflict, bullying, and create a plan to remove them. And then thirdly, we create a memorable language that interacts on both sides. The conversation can't be had on one side. It has to be had on both. And finally, tips and strategies on creating an amazing culture. Identify what you value. Identify what the leadership values. A lot of times that may not be spoken in words. It may be spoken just through gestures and hand language. Focus on creating memorable experiences. Focus on the power of community. And understand there's a tipping point where people in the church, whether online or offline, will adapt to change. And the tipping point is when people in the church, when they see that people in the church can trust and support the vision. The power of community. If you can connect with the key stakeholders in your church, you can help change the culture. Sometimes media ministry is battling with the finance committee or another ministry leader trying to say, if you don't send your announcements by 10 a.m., I'm not putting them up. Or if I'm not being able to be a part of this, I need this by this, I need your music. If we're not trying to get a copyright strike, we're trying to make sure that you send your music without the actual person singing. We want to make sure that that's on an applicable time. Connect with the people that are stakeholders in the church. Learn to use the power of others in persuading the church to adapt a vision or change initiative. Only when the entire community or the body at large adapts, there will be evidence that there's been an actual change in the culture of the church. Celebrate the wins within the online community. People will rally around when you can connect with them on a personal level. For example, if I'm watching online and you connect with me, I'm going to tune in because you genuinely care about my soul and me as a person watching online. We have to be able to understand that we're moving to hybrid and that everything that happens in church is a reflection of what's online. And if we can connect with people and celebrate the wins, so if somebody celebrated a birthday and they wrote it in the chat, wish them happy birthday. If somebody said, I just got baptized at the church last Sunday, celebrate that and they wrote it in the chat, let them know that, hey, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming. We'd love to see you more. Not everyone's going to jive with that and go with that, but we have to be able to form that connection. Last thing, focus on the why. The word why is the biggest driver of defining your culture. Ask yourself these 3 questions. Why are people connected to your ministry? Why are people taking next steps? And are you fostering that? And why are you removing the toxic portions that stop you from creating an amazing culture? Why will be your biggest answer into 2021 and beyond. Be prepared for where ministry is going, and that will help you to drive it into the future. So, that concludes this portion. If you have any questions, you can contact me directly at info@churchxco.com, and I'm here in the chat, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask away. I'll be more than happy to answer any question. We understand that defining the culture, there's a lot that's going on here. And that when it comes to culture, we have to be prepared for where ministry is going into 2021 and beyond. into 2022 and beyond, I should say. And that when it comes to this culture, this idea and concept of culture, are we putting the tools in place to help people be successful and be excellent at what they do? Because not everybody is a paid volunteer at the church. Not everybody is a paid staff member at the church. A majority of the people are volunteers. And if you can create the culture, people will stay and stick around for the vision for as long as they can until God says it's time for them to go. That is going to be very, very vital in defining the culture in an online and in an offline world as well. That's where we're going. So if you have any questions or concerns, I'm using this time for Q&A, and any questions that you have, please feel free to write it in the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer. Oh, somebody said here that it's not a competition. A rising tide raises all ships. You're absolutely right, Mike. Um, it is not a competition. Culture is not based on how many people come to your church, how many people do X, Y, Z. Culture is how are we going to prepare people to be successful? And why are we going to prepare people to be successful? There are many pastors and ministry leaders that are on this call and that are on in the chat, and I'm reading your comments. But we have to be prepared for 2022 and beyond, because hybrid is going to be here for the next many, 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 many years. So somebody asked, how do you deal with a congregation that can be hard to persuade? I've dealt with this in dealing with consulting and working with church leaders and having to go through multiple channels. One of the things is you have to find the key decision makers. Sometimes people that are dealing with a lot, you have to be able to speak to them on their level. Especially if you're dealing with an older demographic versus a younger demographic, the ideas and principles and morals, Brandon, are going to be different. So understand where they're coming from and put it in a way that they can understand. It's not a one size cookie cutter kind of situation, but in terms of this, I dealt with somebody that was a little bit of an older congregation, and understanding that I had to go and talk to multiple people to get things moving. Sometimes having things written black and white worked for them because they could see where I'm going, where everything is being spent, how things are being done, why it's being done, and where is it going to lead into the future. Because people want to see the end result, Brandon, of where it's going. It's not necessarily you want to persuade people to be on your side, they just want to see the end result. And they have good intentions in mind. So that is very critical. If there's any more questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Just type it in the chat there. I'll use the next couple minutes before the session is finished. And absolutely. So Phyllis, you wrote, we don't do Zoom, but could this apply to Go Meeting as well? Yes, it can. So Zoom and Go Meeting are exactly the same. Another one is if you don't do Zoom, you can use something called Free Conference Call as well. It's 100% free, and you can do video on there as well, and that can save you as well. A lot of these things, dealing with culture it's a very sensitive topic, and there's a lot of things I didn't touch on that we could have touched on, but again, there's some things that if you don't do Zoom and you're an older congregation, use Free Conference Call, for example, use GoToMeeting.
Free conference call is great because it's 100% free. There's no restrictions, that type of thing. Um, but as well, GoToMeeting as well is great. You, Zoom, and just being able to connect with people. A lot of times, the culture of a congregation, whether they're older, they may call in. So be prepared if they call in. Um, have time where they can connect and ask the tough questions, because you are going to deal with two types of people when it comes to that. You're going to have your hardcore people that are in church, as well as you're going to have your people that come out conveniently. So I hope if you have any questions or any concerns, you can contact me directly. My email is on the screen. It's info@churchxco.com. And again, I want to give a big thank you to AJ for putting this conference on. I'm glad to be a part of it. And to Technobabble and to all the presenters. Again, take care. God bless. I'm sending you all my greetings. And have a great and phenomenal day. And again, take care.